Hey there, and welcome to The Explainer. I'm so thrilled you're tuning in with us today. Because, well, if you've ever had that burning itch to start something of your own, to really build some wealth, but you just kind of feel stuck trying to find that perfect idea, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to decode why spotting a lucrative business opportunity feels literally impossible for so many of us. And more importantly, how we can flip a switch in our brains to see the massive wealth that's quite literally flowing all around us.
Okay, so let's just dive right into it. Let me ask you a direct question. Why can't you find a good business idea? I mean, you're probably scrolling through your feeds, right? Watching those endless top 10 side hustle lists, only to realize that millions of other people are watching the exact same overused concepts. But then, meanwhile, you look down the street and notice someone in your neighborhood, maybe someone with way less formal education than you, and they're just making significantly more money. It's so frustrating. But what if I told you the problem isn't a lack of opportunities out there? The problem is actually your eyes.
To really get this, we got to look at this famous Harvard experiment. So, participants were asked to watch a video of people passing a basketball and just count how many times the players in the white shirts passed the ball. And because they were so hyper-focused on counting, get this, 90% of the people completely missed a person in a full-on gorilla suit walking right through the middle of the screen. I know, no way, right? Scientists actually call this intentional blindness. Your eyes are working perfectly fine, but your brain applies this neurological filter that actively deletes parts of reality because it's so fixated on a specific instruction. So you aren't missing opportunities because they don't exist. You're missing them because your brain is literally blocking them out.
And this comparison perfectly illustrates why we're wired this way. Like, where did we even get the instruction to put these blinders on in the first place? Well, think about it. 200 years ago, during the Industrial Revolution, the world didn't need creative thinkers, right? It needed obedient factory workers. So our education system was built to produce exactly that. Factories have shift bells, schools have period bells. Factories use assembly lines, schools use rows of benches. Factories have supervisors punishing deviations, and schools, well, they have teachers who deduct grades if you think outside the syllabus. We've been programmed from childhood to be rule-following workers, not opportunity-spotting thinkers. And honestly, the more highly educated you are in this system, the stronger those blinders usually become.
So, what happens when we finally take those blinders off? We start seeing the gorillas. These are the massive, totally obvious business opportunities hidden in plain sight. Let's look at our first gorilla. Think about the local Momo or street food seller right outside your college or office. Society trains our brains to look at this as a low-status job, something below our standard. But if you actually sit down and do the math, many of these vendors are pulling in a massive 60,000 rupees or more in pure monthly cash profit. It's a daily, repeat customer cash machine that we just blindly walk past every single day.
Let's keep this momentum going. Actually, do this for me real quick. Check the collar of the shirt you're wearing right now. There's probably a tiny, annoying little label with washing instructions on it. You probably ignore it, or maybe you even cut it off. Well, that is our second gorilla. Because in India, there's a single family that's been manufacturing just these tiny, ignored labels for the last 30 years. And their annual revenue? A staggering 75 crore rupees. A tiny scrap of fabric that we literally throw away is actually the foundation of a multi-million-dollar enterprise.
Okay, what about our everyday household routines? Enter our third gorilla. There was this man from a small village in Kerala who noticed a daily friction point. Making dosa batter at home? It's super tedious. So he started with a tiny 50,000 rupee investment to just sell pre-made fresh batter daily. Fast forward to today, and that exact same business is ID Fresh Food. It's a colossal 3,000 crore rupee powerhouse supplying batter all over the globe. From 50,000 to a multi-billion rupee valuation, all just by solving a tiny daily breakfast irritation. Incredible, right?
Are you ready to be shocked by the fourth gorilla? Think about those highway toll booths you probably complain about during road trips. Well, IRB Infrastructure built an absolutely massive operation simply by managing these booths and collecting money from passing vehicles. On just one major expressway, they are collecting hundreds of crores a month. Altogether, this business of literally just collecting tolls has grown into a 94,000 crore enterprise. That is absolutely wild.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway here is that wealth isn't always glamorous. Take our final, awe-inspiring gorilla. Anil Agarwal dropped out of school when he was just 15 years old and started working with his dad collecting scrap metal. Now that's a job many would just totally dismiss, but he saw the massive flow of capital in raw materials. He steadily built that scrap business into Vedanta, that's a metals and mining powerhouse that today represents a 131,000 crore empire. from a 15-year-old scrap collector to a billionaire metal king. Now you might be wondering, okay, how do I actually start seeing these gorillas for myself? Well, it really comes down to reprogramming a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, or RAS. This is basically the hard neuroscience behind what people call manifestation. See, your RAS filters reality based on what you expose it to. If you're constantly consuming content about toxic bosses and low salaries, your brain is going to block out business opportunities. But if you change your content diet for just 7 days, watch business case studies, listen to founder podcasts, read up on startups, your brain receives a totally new instruction. It'll stop blocking opportunities and actually start highlighting them for you on the exact same streets you walk every single day. But unblinding yourself isn't just about the physical streets. It absolutely applies to digital spaces too. For instance, the stock market holds massive opportunities. The source material mentions platforms like the Lemon app's Bold Trades that actually integrate artificial intelligence with expert trading strategies. However, and this is a big however, just like walking the physical jungle, this demands strict discipline. The reality is, the majority of traders lose money because they're just guessing. So having emotional control and strict risk and lot size management is absolutely mandatory here. You gotta have patience.
Section 1. The 3 types of gorillas, organizing the chaos.
Okay, so to prevent you from feeling totally overwhelmed by this new vision of yours, let's organize these opportunities into 3 simple types. First up, you have the service gorilla. This requires almost zero financial investment because you're basically trading your skills, like freelance video editing or social media management, for money. Now, its scalability is limited by your time, obviously, but it is highly recommended for beginners simply because there's zero financial risk. Next is the product gorilla. Think of the Dosabatter or selling ebooks. It requires a medium investment, but is highly scalable because you make it once and sell it thousands of times. Finally, we have the arbitrage gorilla. This is simply buying cheap in one place and selling slightly higher in another, like grabbing cheap tea from outside a college campus and selling it inside.
Section 2. The anti-gorillas, spotting fake opportunities.
Now we gotta be careful here because some large shapes in the jungle are actually predators. You absolutely must run every shiny new idea through this rapid-fire 3-question fraud filter. Number 1, does this solve a real everyday problem? Number 2, will this business survive when the current fleeting trend dies? And number 3, do I get actual value before I am asked to pay? If the answers are no, well, you're likely looking at an anti-gorilla. We're talking multi-level marketing schemes, pyramid structures, or fleeting trend-chasing investments like meme coins. Reject them instantly. Real businesses require actual effort and they solve real problems.
Section 3. The 3-step idea spotting framework.
All right, here's exactly how to step outside your front door today and spot an opportunity. Step 1 is transaction spotting. Basically, stop looking at buildings and start looking at the money. Watch capital flow from point A to point B, like someone paying for parking, buying tea, or ordering a package. Then, step 2 is to find friction within that transaction. Is the delivery super slow? Is the service rude? Is there no digital payment option? Boom, that friction is your opportunity. Finally, step 3 is the frequency check. Does this friction happen to people daily or weekly? Because if it's a daily irritation, like needing breakfast or commuting, you, my friend, have found an incredibly strong gorilla.
To really put this into practice, I challenge you to complete the money map exercise. Seriously, try this today. Grab a piece of paper, draw your home right in the center, and draw a 500-meter radius around it. Now, list every single business inside that circle, from the tiny tea stall to the big, fancy salon. Next to each one, just guess their daily cash flow. How many cups of tea do they sell? How many haircuts? When you fill this map out, a massive realization is going to hit you. Capital is flowing endlessly all around you, every single minute of the day. You've literally just been standing in the middle of it with your eyes closed. And honestly, here is the best news of all. You do not need to be some genius inventor to capture a piece of that flow. You just need to upgrade the gorilla. Find an existing business with friction and just add one layer to it. Swiggy didn't invent food delivery, right? They just added convenience. Ola didn't invent the taxi. They added speed and digital booking. You can take literally any existing model you see on your money map and simply add convenience, speed, quality, or trust. Just one upgrade is all it takes to build a massive customer base.
But please, remember this golden rule from our source material. Always find the customer first, then build the product. Get your skin in the game by solving a tiny daily irritation using minimal capital. Create a minimum viable product, or an MVP. Actually, scratch spending 6 months and thousands of dollars building a massive infrastructure for an idea no one has even validated. Start small, test the waters, and ensure 5 people actually want to pay for your solution before you even think about scaling it up.
Now, if you're sitting there right now thinking, yeah, but I don't have the money or the experience to start, let me stop you right there. Just look at the timeline of these global titans. Elon Musk didn't start with SpaceX. At 12 years old, he started by coding a tiny video game and selling it for $500. Jeff Bezos didn't start with global logistics. Back in 1994, he left his job to sell books out of his literal garage. Experience isn't something you read about in a book. It's something you gain by starting small, making mistakes, and learning. Even the richest empires on Earth began with tiny, low-cost gorillas.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. The information is now entirely in your hands. Your intentional blindness has been cured, and you know exactly how to spot the wealth that is flowing through your own neighborhood. So I just have to ask you, are you going to grab a piece of paper and draw your money map today? Or will you just close this explainer, go back to scrolling your feed, and keep counting those basketball passes while the real opportunities walk right on by? The choice is entirely yours. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer. Stay curious, stay focused, and we'll see you next time.